सालिग्राम। तुलसी महारानी लॉर्ड सालिग्राम जी की, श्री श्री राधा गोलोकानंद की, श्री गिरिराज गोवर्धन की, श्री श्री पंचतत्व की, हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। So, do we have any new guests today? Is there anybody here for the first time? Lot of you. Welcome. Wonderful day to have you here. May I start with you? May I have your name, please? Bhushan. Bhushan ji. Surya Narayan from Raleigh. Hare Krishna. And there were some hands here. Surya Narayan ji. Hare Krishna. Neeraj Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And some in the back? Prerna Mataji, Hare Krishna. Any others? Let us all warmly welcome our newly joined guest today. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are going to now have a class on the pastimes. We'll be hearing glories of Tulsi Maharani by His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He will be giving us some insight into the pastimes of the Tulsi Vivaha today. So we'll have that, and then at 5:30 to 6:30 we'll actually have the Vivaha ceremony. So without further ado, if I may request your rapt attention to the pastime, let's all warmly welcome Maharaj by 3 times saying Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you very much, Vikashananda Prabhu. So, today we are commemorating Tulsi Shalagram Vivaha, and in honor of the marriage of Tulsi Devi and Shalagram, we're going to tell the story of Tulsi Devi getting cursed and Shanka Chuda, who was Sutam, getting cursed, and how they cursed each other, how Tulsi cursed Tulsi cursed Lord Narayan. Anyway, it's a very interesting story. It's from the Padma Purana. So, also, I believe we're going to have a real marriage today, too. Oh, so actually, Tulsi Shalagram Vivaha is real, but we're going to have a marriage of people with flesh and blood bodies today. So it's a very romantic occasion. First we'll chant Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Malava Yidibadu Dhagate. Gopi Jana Balaba Yidibadu Dhagate. Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana. Munate Ra Panachagate. Yamuna Tera Banachagate. Jaya Rama Madhava Kunya Bihagate. Jaya Radhu Madhuva Kunda Bihare Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Badadhare Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Badadhare Yasodanandana Braja Jananandana Yasodanandana Braja Jananandana Jamuna Tira Panachare Yamuna Tira Banacharte Jayaraudumbadhuva Kundabihate Jayaraudumbadhuva Kundabihate Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravitakacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace Abhaya Charananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Say Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sayama Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuram Ki Jai, Jagadadha Swami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Shimani Dalasi Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Om. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutle Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vacharani Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dejatarni. So again, welcome to the celebration of the Tulsi Shalagram Vivaha. That means the marriage of Tulsi and Shalagram. So, of course, we all worship Tulsi Devi, and we know that Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, or any of the various appearances of the Lord, the Vishnu Tattva appearances of the Lord, will not accept an offering unless there is a Tulsi Patra, Tulsi leaf on the offering. And then there's the famous story at Govardhan where there was the Anukut ceremony. Actually, first we forgot to go Om Gana Timradasha Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshuram Minitam Yena Tasmai Shigadvena Maha. So there was the Anukut ceremony, which means they were offering mountains of, not prasad, boga, to Giriraj, rice and dal. Well, I don't know how you make a mountain of dal. But anyway, and rotis or whatever, and sweets, especially sweets. And they were offering so much when Krishna appeared as this gigantic form, and he ate it all. And then he said, Anyor, give me more, give me more. And everyone was getting nervous because he was so big. They thought he was going to kill everybody. So I said, what are we going to do? There is no more. So finally, they gave him a Tulsi leaf, and he was satisfied. And there's so many stories in the Puranas and Vedic literatures about Tulsi. So very, very important. And if you worship Tulsi, as we do every day here, at least once a day, then you enter into the Vrindavan pastimes. The prayer says, please make me your own maidservant. Maidservant means assistant to the gopis in Vrindavan. And then, as a side benefit, yani kani chapapani, brahmahat shari kanisha, you can kill a bunch of Brahmins. Isn't that what it says? No, don't do it. But even if you were the most sinful of sinners, if you circumambulate Tulsi and offer water, you'll be freed from the sins. But if you commit sins, do it. Commit sins, do it again. It's not going to work. One time. Okay, so be careful. So, anyway, so this is a story of cursing. Not cursing in terms of four-letter words or anything like that. But this is a story of spiritual cursing. And we have cursing by Radharani and cursing by Tulsi Devi herself. And then we also have the unfortunate departure from the spiritual world of two eternal associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sudam and Tulsi Devi. So what's happening here? You're in the spiritual world, you hear, Yad Gatvan Nivartante Tadama Paramamama. One who goes there doesn't come back. Uh-oh. What if you get cursed? So, but these are passed on to the Lord. I want to add one thing that's very interesting, that even if you have to come down to the material world to serve Krishna once you're back in the spiritual world, it lasts for so short you can't even calculate, because the time difference in the spiritual world compared to this material world, anyway, like 1 second in the spiritual world, or even in the heavenly planets, like with Lord Brahma, when he stole the cowherd boys and calves, it was just an instant, and it was a whole year later. So what to speak of the spiritual world? That you're really not gone at all, for all intents and purposes. Not even a blink of an eye. So don't worry about it. So, anyway, so here's the story. A very interesting story from the Padma Purana. And this story is told in the context of Narada Muni asking how Narayan married Tulsi. He asked Narayan this question, of course. How did Tulsi become your wife? Where was she born? Who was she? Where did she come from? So let's talk about the ontological position of Tulsi. Tulsi, of course, is an expansion of Radharani. In other words, she's Shakti Tattva. There's different types of categories. There's Jiva Tattva, which is most of you in this room, right? Hopefully. There's the material energy, which is some of you, which is the dull material energy. And then there's the Parashakti of the Lord. Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta Shechad Vyaka Tata Para Vidyakarma Sanganya Tratir Shakti. 3 Shaktis. Internal, spiritual, the spiritual, external, and the Jiva soul, which is us. We go either way. We're called the marginal potency of the Supreme Personality. Got it. So, Tulsi happens to be of the Shakti category. She's an expansion of Radharani. But generally, the gopis in Vrindavan, they're trying to assist the conjugal loving affairs between Radha and Krishna. But sometimes Krishna gets a little romantic with other gopis. And in this particular case, Krishna got romantic with Tulsi. And Radha, Shrimati Radharani, discovered, oh my God. And she got so angry that you should be born on this earth planet. Now, you may think it's nice to be born on this earth planet, especially in America or wherever. But it's not nice. Dukaliyam Shashvatam. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punav Artino Arjuna Mamu Vijayakantiya. Punajanma and the Vijate, from the highest planet to the lowest planet. Birth, death, disease, and especially old age. It's bad, believe me. So, anyway, so she was cursed like that, but Krishna said to her, don't worry. You're going to marry Narayan when you come down. And so, there were two very nice devotees called Dharmadwaja and Madhavi, and they were worshiping Lakshmi in order to have a child. And eventually, after 100 years of pregnancy, a long time, then Tulsi Devi was born, and there's so many descriptions about her beauty, and she was always 16 years old. Practically from the day of her appearance to when she left this world, she always appeared as 16. That's the best time. The pastimes. Krishna always appears as 16. He doesn't appear as an old man when it comes to the Battle of Kurukshetra. It's like 120 years he's been on the planet, and you don't see a gray beard, gray hair, a Krishna walking with a cane as he gets on the chariot. Anyway, so all the auspicious symptoms she had. So she knew she was what's called Jata Smarana. She knew where she came from. And she said, I want to marry Narayan. I'm determined to marry Narayan. Just like recently we had this very nice day, Katyayani Brat. Any of you ladies ever do a Katyayani Brat? It would be interesting if someone said yes, and then I'd ask you, who's your husband? and are you happy with him? So anyway, so the Katyayani Brat was done by Radharani and the gopis, and they got Krishna as a husband, so that's the standard procedure if you want to find a good husband. Do this Katyayani Brat. It involves bathing in the river, a cold river, during the cold time, of course, for practically a whole month, and then and just eating Havishya. And then maybe you'll get your right husband, okay? So let me know if it works. So anyway, Tulsi went to Badrinath to perform austerities in order to have Narayan as her husband. And she did these austerities for 100,000 celestial years. Of course, this was a different yuga, different place. And the description, 20,000 years she just ate fruits and water. 30,000 years dried leaves. 40,000 years air. And for the last 10,000, nothing. And she stood on one leg. Then Brahma appeared to give her benediction. And he said, you will marry Narayan eventually, but right now you're meant to marry Shankachuta. And Shankachuta is an incarnation of Sudama. And so why was Sudama down in this earth planet? Well, there's several things that happened. First of all, through the agency of Yogamaya, he was actually interested in Tulsi Devi. Not in a lusty way in the spiritual world. Obviously, there's no lust in the spiritual world. But he was interested in her just forming a relationship, a pure relationship, like that. But really, what we call the kicker was that he got cursed by Radharani again. And the reason he got cursed by Radharani is that Krishna had another affair with a lady in the spiritual world called Viraja. And Radharani not only chastised Viraja, she really chastised Krishna. It's really, I can't tell you what she said. This is, of course, Radharani's man, her anger. And this gives Krishna great pleasure. When he gets Radharani angry, he is in ecstasy. And then he has to, as we say, eat humble pie sometimes and beg and touch her feet and beg for forgiveness. Has any of you married men ever have to do that with your wives? Don't raise your hand. So, I'm sure it happens sometimes. Your parents? No. So anyway, so he's cursed to come down and be a demon on the earth planet, and he's crying. He begs Radharani for forgiveness, and Radharani feels really bad about what she did, the cursing and everything like that. And Krishna says, don't worry, he'll be back very, very, very quickly. So he goes to perform austerities. His father's name was Damba, who was the son of Viprachiti, who was later on Jarasandha. So these are one of the famous demons that are there. So he goes to perform austerities in Pushkara. Pushkara is the place of Lord Brahma. And also for 100,000 years, he's chanting, this time the Krishna mantra, and effulgence comes from his head. And Lord Vishnu actually blesses him. And Vishnu blessed his father by saying, you will have an invincible son. He'll be a devotee. And he's an incarnation of Sudama. And he will be practically invulnerable. And we'll describe in a second what the invulnerability means. So in the meantime, back in Badrik Ashram, Tulsi is asking Brahma to lose her fear of Radha. You know, she's very fearful of Radha at this particular point. And so Brahma initiates Tulsi in this 16-syllable Radha mantra, which she chants for 12 years, and she always was completely dedicated to Radharani, but she's no longer fearful of Radharani. In the meantime, what happens is Cupid comes along, Kandarpa, and he affects her mind, and she begins to see Shankachuta in her dreams. And she falls in love with Shankachuta. This is Yogamaya, because Yogamaya means the spiritual potency of the Lord, which sometimes causes forgetfulness for the devotees so they can enact certain pastimes in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So she is just like immersed in loving mood towards Shankachuta. Where is this Shankachuta? Meantime, back with Shankachuta in his austerities, Lord Brahma gives him different benedictions. He says that you will not be killed as long as your wife is chaste. And you're supposed to marry Tulsi. And here is this amulet you can wear around your neck. As long as that's on your neck, you will never die. And that amulet is called Sarva Mangala, means all auspicious. So, immediately, Shankachuta goes to where Tulsi is, and he says, you are Tulsi from the spiritual world, and I am Sudam, and we're supposed to get married. She doesn't agree. She tests him a little bit. She says, how can you be controlled by your wife or by a lady? It's not so auspicious. And he shows that he's actually intelligent enough to pass her tests. So eventually she gives in, and he says, let's perform the Gandharva rite. That's a type of marriage where the husband or the boy and the girl, they agree to get married, they exchange garlands, and that's it. It's a lot easier than the marriage we're going to do today. No fire sacrifice, just haribol. You got to be careful who you exchange garlands with, because you may find yourself married to them. So there's other types of Vedic marriages, such as Rakshasa marriages. And Krishna, of course, was very expert in Rakshasa marriages. he had Arjuna perform a Rakshasa marriage with Subhadra. So in this way, of course, we generally only do this type of vivaha ceremony after consulting the parents of both the personalities. It's very, very important. Okay, so they get married and they enjoy life. And Shankachuta, in the meantime, is so powerful that he conquers over all the demigods and other demons, and he's like the king of the universe. So for something like 4,300,000 years, he's in charge. So these other demigods, someone may question, what are demigods? They're just administrative controllers who work under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like even in the state of North Carolina or even the city of Hillsborough, which we're in right now, there's so many administrative people. There may be one mayor or one president or whatever, or dictator, but there's many people who work under that particular individual. So that's the demigods. Why can't God do that? Because Krishna, Galoka Nivashyati Akilatma Bhuta, Krishna is enjoying in the spiritual world. It's not that he's going to be giving everybody their driver's licenses, right? Which is what the demigods are. Not driver's license, but, maybe for the push book of Vimana or something like that. So anyway, all the gods, the demigods, they go to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma says, Lord Narayan will explain everything to you. So Lord Narayan comes, and he gives a trident to Lord Shiva. I guess this is different from his normal Trishura trident to kill Shankachuta. So, Lord Shiva sends a challenge. Shankachuta responds to the challenge. And there's so many details of this fight, which I don't have time to tell, but you actually have like Kartikeya and Bhadrakali, and Bhadrakali is getting ready. She has this ultimate weapon. She's getting ready to kill Shankachuta, but then she hears the voice that Shankachuta has this benediction, so you can't kill him. Same thing happens with Lord Shiva. So they're waiting a little while, and Bhadrakali is just so ferocious, she's swallowing up all the demons too. Padma Purana talks about this. So anyway, Lord Shiva, he has his trident, and as we mentioned before, a heavenly voice tells Lord Shiva, don't try to kill him now. He has this boon. So then Lord Narayan has a trick. He assumes the form of a Brahmin. And the Vedic culture, even the demons, they followed Vedic culture. It's interesting. They were cultured, isn't it? They all had Brahmins. And the Brahmins performed sacrifice to make them more powerful. And the demigods had Brahmins, and the Brahmins performed sacrifice to make them more powerful. So sometimes you see the demons arrange for killing of Brahmins. Well, they only arrange for killing of the Brahmins who are on the good side. Not the bad. They need the bad Brahmins. Just like Shukracharya. It's not bad, forgive me. So anyway, so what happens is Lord Vishnu appears as a Brahmin, and Lord Vishnu, similar to the story of Bali Maharaj and Vamadeva, isn't it? But he appears as a Brahmin, and he goes to Shankachuta and says, give me your amulet. And so Shankachuta, being very obedient to the Brahmanas, doesn't think twice about it. Similar to the Karna story. Anyway, you have so many similarities in these stories. And so he gives him the amulet. So that's half of the strategy. Then Lord Vishnu takes the form of Shankachuta, and he goes to Tulsi, and he says to Tulsi, well, I didn't lose, but I didn't win. Lord Brahma broke up the fight, and, we made a deal, so everything's all right. So, then Tulsi is very happy to have her husband back, who's not actually her husband. And she lies down with him, and she discovers that it's not her husband. So while she's discovering it's not her husband, and she has lost her, quote, chastity, Lord Shiva decides to fire this trident. The trident is called Vijaya, and it's as bright as 100 suns, 14,000 cubits long, and 100 cubits wide. And Shankachuta sees it coming. He assumes a yoga posture, meditates, and goes back to home, back to Godhead. And they take all of his bones and throw them in the ocean. And it's described, at least in the Padma Purana, that these bones become conch shells. And so that's why it's very auspicious to have the sound of a conch shell. However, if someone who is irreligious, degraded, blows the conch shell, Lakshmi runs away. So if you're going to use a conch shell, you better make sure you're following the regulative principles. Because if you're not, you're going to be struggling. You're looking for a new job pretty soon. That's true. That's the description of the Padma Purana. Any person who's low class, not low class in terms of the family or anything like that, but low class in terms of their behavior and mentality. So be careful. So Sudam goes back to the spiritual world, resumes his original form. Radha and Krishna are happy to see him. And Tulsi, who has previously discovered the deception, she gets really angry. She said, and then Lord Vishnu, who was acting as Shankachuta, assumes his actual form, four-arm form, and she says, "You are like a stone." And here's the quote. I wanted to read this. "You are like a stone. You are merciless. You violated my chastity by deception. And by this means you have killed my husband, O Lord. You are merciless. Your heart is like a stone. I curse you to become a stone. Those who call you holy are undoubtedly wrong. Your devotee committed no offense, and yet for the sake of others you kill them. Why?" And Narayan, Lord Narayan, responds in a very peaceful fashion. "O exalted one, you performed austerities for a long time to get me as your husband, and Shankachuta also performed austerities for a long time to get you as his wife. By that austerity he fulfilled his wish. It was then necessary for me to fulfill your wish. For this reason I did what I did. Now leave your earthly body and assume a spiritual body and be married to me. Be like Lakshmi, your body will become a famous river known as the Gandaki River." So she's also the Gandaki River. "A virtuous, pure, and transparent river in the holy land of India. Your hairs will be transformed into holy trees, and since the trees will be born of you, they will be known as Tulsi trees. All the residents of the three worlds will perform worship with the leaves and flowers of this tree. Thus you, Tulsi, will reign as the best among trees and flowers." So there's many different blessings mentioned in the Padma Purana, and that we don't have time to read any of them right now. But the point is that we worship Tulsi by offering her to Lord Vishnu, not by eating her ourselves. And that's what Tulsi has appeared in this world for. And in the Gandaki River, you find the Shalagram Shilas, and there's certain worms there that eat different parts of these Shalagram Shila stones. And based upon what these stones look like, they're understood to be different incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Expert Brahmins can determine whether it's a Nrsinga Shila, whether it's a Kurma Shila, whether it's a Gopal Shila, and worship these different Shalagram Shilas. So today, we are commemorating, actually I just wanted to read, even though we're getting a little late, the prayers, and I won't have time to read the Sanskrit, the prayers are written in glorification of Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi, who is actually in charge of the Vrindavan pastimes and arranging everything for the Vrindavan pastimes. So she's not only appearing as a tree in this material world, but also in Braj Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan, as well as Gokul Vrindavan. She arranges the atmosphere and the surroundings for all of Radha and Krishna's pastimes. So let's quickly read what's called the Sri Vrinda Devi Ashtakam, which is written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I'll read the English. O Vrinda, you are adorned with an extremely brilliant transcendental dress, which is as red as a banduka flower. By your own supremely beautiful bodily luster, you put to shame the combined effulgence of pure gold, champaka flowers, and lightning bolts. And also by that same luster of yours, you are continuously bathing your own personal associates, namely all the moving and non-moving residents of the Vrindavan forest. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances to your divine lotus feet. O Vrinda, the countenance of your face is especially radiant, being decorated by your gentle, sweet smile, which is sprouted from your reddish lips resembling bimba fruits, as well as by being embellished with your pearl nose ornament. You are also endowed with loveliness by your body, being decorated with multifarious, wonderfully jeweled ornaments. We therefore prostrate ourselves at your beautiful lotus feet. O Brinda, the supremely pure abode of Sri Krishna, known as Sri Vrindavan Dham, which is the crest jewel amongst all the planets of the spiritual sky, is presided over by the charming daughter of King Vrishabhanu, Shri Radhika. But she has awarded you with the power and authority to maintain this divine realm as your service to her. This is why we offer our most heartfelt obeisances unto your beautiful lotus feet. So in other words, she maintains the divine realm of Goloka Vrindavan. O Vrinda, all the multitudes of Lord Madhava's love-sporting bowers become supremely beautified by being decorated under your direction with fresh leaves, sprouts, flowers, bees, deer, peacocks, talking parrots, all types of animals and birds, as well as with wonderful seasons headed by spring. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your divine lotus feet. O Vrinda, by your expertly intelligent service as a messenger for the divinely amorous couple of the bower, their transcendental love sports thereby become successfully fulfilled. Who in this world could possibly even speak of your great fortune? We therefore must simply bow down before your beautiful lotus feet. O Brinda, devotees who have the desire to participate in the rasa dance, who long to live eternally in Vrindavan, and who hope only to achieve devotional service to the lotus feet of your most beloved lords, easily attain the everlasting fulfillment of all their desires by your most gracious mercy. We therefore bow down to your divine lotus feet. O Vrinda, highly qualified sages who are well versed in the tantras of the mode of pure goodness, scriptures written by the Lord's pure devotees, have praised you as being the personified energy of Lord Krishna, known as Leela Shakti. Oh my God. The energy that helps perform his pastimes. So she's the Leela Shakti of the Lord. Wonderful, isn't it? You are also very famous in this world for your appearance here in the form of the tree known as Srimati Tulsi Devi. Therefore, we offer our most respectful obeisances unto your beautiful lotus feet. Unfortunately, bereft of devotional service, and due to committing hundreds and thousands of offenses, we have been cast deep into the ocean of material existence. Indeed, we are being tossed about by the terrible waves of lust, anger, greed, etc. O most merciful one, our souls are surrendered unto you, and we offer our most respectful obeisances unto your divine lotus feet. The last verse. Whoever hears or recites these 8 prayers in glorification of Sri Vrindadevi, becoming just like a bumblebee that is always anxious to taste the sweet nectarian lotus feet of the divine couple, such a person verily attains residence in Vrindavan. It's called the Shruti Pala, the fruit of hearing. Having finally achieved the supreme goal of life, one thus remains situated in the ecstatic loving service of the divine couple, Sri Sri Radha Madhava. So we're ready for the marriage now. Should we take a question or two? Okay, does anyone have any questions about Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Devi? No? No. So today we're going to, yes. None to the ball. Yeah. Well, it's a special place for worshiping Tulsi Maharani. No, not according to the Padma Purana. She didn't appear at Vrindavan. I mean, if you go to Vrindavan, you'll hear so many stories about even where Radharani appeared. For example, generally people think that Radharani appeared in Barshana, right? But actually, according to the Acharyas and the Vedic literatures, she appeared in Raval. And Raval is a very, very isolated place. Anyone here been to Raval? Few people have been to Raval. And there's beautiful pictures of Radharani as a little baby crawling, and deities of Radharani crawling there. So it's a very, very special place on the other side of the Yamuna River. So, in other words, Tulsi Devi appears everywhere in Vrindavan. So, on that happy note, we're ready for the marriage. Where's the couple that's getting married? They're going to come in later?
So that is part of the initial 2-minute settlement. We have the room in that room, and we have the bride behind me. Excuse me, the other way around. The bride is behind me, and the bride is in the room.
Okay. Okay, all glory is to His divine grace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tulsi Maharani ki jai.
Jai. Jai.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. So thank you for such a wonderful katha and helping us set the mood for the commemorating the Vivaha today. So everybody, let us all warmly express our gratitude to Maharaj for sharing this wonderful katha by loudly chanting Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki! So we are now just about getting ready. We are fully set up. We will initially take 2 minutes just for the initial positions. So you'll notice there's quite a few things that are being set out. So first thing is those 7 white circles on the floor. So if I may ask, if you could just kind of be situated where you are for the devotees in that corner, so we don't, yeah. Why is this humming sound?